All right, hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to do a deep dive into a topic that is absolutely fundamental to any real conversation in Mandarin. We're talking about hobbies. This is one of the first and most important ways you'll ever connect with someone, so let's really get into it.
So this is it. This is the central question for today's lecture. 你的爱好是什么? Simply put, what is your hobby? But as you're about to see, there's so much packed into this simple question. By the end of our time together, you're not just going to know how to say the words. You'll understand the nuance, the grammar, and the culture behind them.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the vocabulary, the actual building blocks. Then we'll move into grammar, which is how we assemble those blocks into proper sentences. After that, we'll get into the really crucial part, the cultural insight, the subtext. And finally, we'll see it all come to life in a practical dialogue.
Okay, let's dive right into our first section, vocabulary. And I really want to drive this point home. Learning Chinese characters is not about rote memorization. It's about understanding the story, the logic that's baked into every single one. Think of each character as a tiny picture, a piece of history. That's how you truly master it. Okay, let's start with the word for hobby itself, 爱好. This is just fantastic. The first character, I, for love, literally has the character for heart, 心, right in the middle of it. It's not just an abstract idea. The character is showing you that this is something you hold in your heart. Then we have the second character, hao. Now, you probably know this as hao, third tone, meaning good. But look here, it's the fourth tone, the falling tone, hao. And that single change in tone shifts the meaning completely to be fond of. This is a perfect example of why tones are not optional, they are everything.
Now let's look at the verb we're going to be using all the time, 喜欢, to like. And again, the story inside these characters is just beautiful. The first character, si, is a picture of a drum over a mouth. What does that evoke? The sound of celebration, of joy. The second character, Huan, shows a person next to a bird, as if they're singing cheerfully. So when you put them together, 喜欢, you get this profound sense of joyousness and affection. It's so much more than just to like.
And look at how beautifully logical some of these action words are. Take 看书, to read books. The verb 看 is literally a picture of a hand held over an eye. I mean, what a perfect image for shading your eyes to look at something intently. It's brilliant. And for ting in your, to listen to music, the verb ting, to listen, is built around the ear radical. It's just so intuitive once you start seeing these patterns.
Excellent. So we've got our vocabulary, our building blocks. Now let's move on to our second section, grammar. This is where we learn how to put those pieces together to create sentences that don't just feel correct, but sound completely natural to a native speaker.
All right, so here is your absolute go-to pattern. This is your bread and butter for talking about what you like. It's beautifully simple. You start with the subject, follow it with our workhorse verb 喜欢, and then you just add the hobby. That's it. It's incredibly versatile. So let's just plug our vocabulary right into that formula. The subject is I, so that's 我. The verb is to like, 喜欢, and the activity is to read books, 看书. Put it together and you get a perfect sentence. 我喜欢看书. Simple, elegant, and exactly what you need.
Now, let's address a classic learner's mistake, something I hear all the time. A student will try to say, my hobby is reading books, and translate it directly as, 我爱好是看书. Grammatically, this is incorrect because you're missing the possessive particle, de, to link 我 and 爱好. The correct form would be 我的爱好是看书. But honestly, even that sounds a little stiff, a bit formal. The most common, natural, everyday way to express this is simply using our core pattern, 我喜欢看书. It's smoother and much more conversational. Okay, so we can make a statement. How do we ask the question? Well, it's just as easy. We take our basic structure and we simply insert the question word for what, which is 什么, and the all-purpose verb to do, which is 做. So the question becomes, 你喜欢做什么? What do you like to do? Simple as that.
Okay, everyone, I want you to lean in for this next part because we're moving beyond just words and grammar now. This is the why. In Chinese-speaking cultures, talking about hobbies is so much more than idle chit-chat. It is a critical social tool, and understanding this subtext is absolutely essential if you plan to live, work, or build real relationships there. First, let's talk about the concept of guanxi, or guanxi. This refers to your network of relationships, your connections. It's a cornerstone of society. And hobbies are one of the primary ways you build guanxi. Finding a shared interest is like finding a key to a new door. Second, humility, 谦虚. This is huge. If you're a fantastic tennis player and someone asks if you play, the culturally appropriate response is not, yes, I'm amazing. It's to downplay your skill, to say something like, oh, I know a little, or I'm not very good. And finally, remember the emphasis on the group. Many hobbies are social and revolve around bonding with others, whether it's karaoke or mahjong.
All right, for our final section, let's put it all together. We've got the vocabulary, we understand the grammar, and we have the cultural context. Now let's see how this all works in a real, practical conversation between two students, Lily and Ming.
So Lily starts things off. Listen to the natural flow here. 你有空的时候喜欢做什么? Now notice, she adds that little phrase at the beginning, 有空的时候, which means when you have free time. This is a very common and polite way to frame the question, just softens it a little.
And Ming gives a simple, clear answer. 我喜欢运动. I like sports. But then he uses this brilliant little particle, 你呢? That ne at the end is an incredibly efficient and native-sounding way to bounce the exact same question right back to Lily without having to say the whole thing again. It's like saying, and you? It's a must-know.
So Lily responds with her two hobbies. 我喜欢听音乐和看书. And here she connects them with 和, which is our word for and. Now, it's important to know that 和 is typically used to connect two nouns or two very similar phrases, just like we see here, listening to music and reading books.
Okay, now this is the magic moment. This is what it's all about. Ming hears what she says and responds with excitement. 我也喜欢听音乐. That single word, 也, meaning also, is the spark. He's found the common ground. And look, he doesn't just stop there. He immediately deepens the conversation with a follow-up question. 你喜欢谁的歌? Whose songs do you like? This is building guanxi in real time. He's turning small talk into a genuine connection.
Before we wrap up, a quick pronunciation clinic on some common trouble spots. First, that third tone rule. When you have two third tones in a row, like in 我喜欢, the first one changes to a rising second tone. You don't say 我喜欢, you say 我喜欢. Second, the X sound in C. Your tongue should be flat with the tip right behind your bottom front teeth. It's a high, hissy sound. Si, si, very different from the sh in sh. Finally, the H sound in he. Make sure you're pushing air from the back of your throat. It's an aspirated sound. How? You should feel that puff of air.
So, let's bring this all home. What we've discussed today isn't just a vocabulary list or a grammar pattern. It's a core social skill. Having the ability to talk about your interests, to ask about others, is truly the key to unlocking real, meaningful connections in the Mandarin-speaking world.
So, I'll leave you with a final thought to take away. You now have the tools. You have the key to open this specific door in a conversation. The real question is, how will you use it? What new connections, what new friendships are waiting for you on the other side? Thank you all very much.